You're tuned in to Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk, live every weekday on the Nation Network YouTube.
Shit.
It was very delayed shit, Tyler.
I wanted dramatic effect, Liam. You know, you really wanted to have some punch. The Oilers blow game 1 against the LA Kings. Welcome into Oilers Nation every day, live from the Sports Closet studio. Get geared up, sportscloset.ca, 3 locations in the Edmonton area as well. Live on the Oilers Nation YouTube, where 587 Legend has the first comment. Says, well, it was disappointing with the loss. Silver lining, though, Bouchard looked completely in the flow of the game, confident when making plays, had an amazing impact on both sides of the puck. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a lot. Sean Bell along. Sean, what did you think of the experience of Game 1, Oilers-Kings?
Well, the experience of it was fantastic. I mean, you know, there's outside of the rain, there was good energy. People were buzzing. Inside the stadium was buzzing. It was a great atmosphere. It's everything that you basically want, you know, if you're the home team in round 1 in particular. Now, when you get to the game, the Oilers come out, they're flying, they're doing really well, they're physical. Kings can't even keep up. And then it's like they just turned out the lights and they said, we've got this one wrapped up. Like, I'm sitting up there in the press box, I'm watching this game, and I was actually sitting with Matt Cassian, and we're just like, okay, something's not right here. And they took their foot off the gas pedal, and then all of a sudden you could just see the Kings just slowly chipping away, and obviously it turned into what it turned into. Pretty disappointing, because I don't think the Kings beat the Oilers. I think the Oilers beat the Oilers. They gave that game away.
It felt a little bit like first half of the season Edmonton Oilers. When you think back like December and January when they were blowing those 2-goal leads at home consistently, that's what it felt like. And you're right, like that Kings team, I'm not walking away from that game being like, oh, the Kings can beat the Oilers 3 more times this series. I'm thinking, man, if the Oilers just figure out their own stuff, they're going to find a way to win this series. If you're just hopping in here, Sean is going to be joining us the day after every Oilers game. And it's all brought to you by our friends at Star Mechanical. You can check them out online, starmechanical.ca. The Oilers lose 4-3. They're down 1-0. And we talked about this on the Real Life podcast yesterday. The Oilers, I mean, as a fan base, I think everyone should be sitting here not that worried. This team goes down 1-0 every single time. They have found a way to turn on the Jets and win 4 straight. Also, I'm a big believer that momentum doesn't really carry over from game to game. I think every game is a fresh start. And for the Oilers, hopefully, you know, they can build a little bit on what they did really well in those first 40 minutes, because there was a lot, like you said, that they did well. And we're going to break it all down. I want to talk a little bit about the experience of Rogers Place, though, because the crowd was buzzing. I thought the team or the organization does a lot of things really well to build up the hype for that game as well. Before the anthems, they just let the crowd sit for like 60 seconds. They don't play music. They just show shots of different fans, and they just let the crowd get loud. I thought that was a really good touch. The hype song being Nickelback was awesome. And the crowd like yelling, hey, along with the song. It was Burn It to the Ground every time they say it. Craig Simpson had a great tweet as well. I think I saw 2 LA Kings fans in the building from my time. And I walked laps around the concourse as well. I think I saw 2. Like, the crowd was awesome. And I really hope that goes over into game 2 as well. Because that's something that can obviously have a big effect on the game as well. Liam, what did you think of game 1?
I kind of agree with what Sean said. It just felt like the Oilers had the game in the wraps after the first period, and all of a sudden they thought the game was over in a way, and slowly but surely LA just grinded their way into it, but they never really had like massive chances. They just got these good breaks from mistakes from the Oilers, whether it be them in the penalty box or honestly some bad plays on the face-offs, not bearing down on pucks a little bit harder, and ended up in the back of the net. But I agree with what you said too, Tyler. Like, there was nothing that showed me last night that the LA Kings are the best team in this series. I still believe the Oilers are the best team. And when the Oilers are on their A game like they were in that first period, the LA Kings truly cannot compete with them.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the overwhelming thing. The Oilers also gave the Kings 6 power plays in that hockey game. And our guy, Christopher Palmer, who won the shirt yesterday on the show for his key to victory, which was stay disciplined, the Oilers just didn't do a very good job of that. And Evan Bouchard's a guy I want to pick your brain about, Sean, because he did look great. The power play goal was awesome. He seemed to really be controlling the pace of the game almost from the back end. But those 2 penalties were, I mean, if you want to call them ticky-tack, sure, but I think they were both penalties. Even if the second one, if you want to be like, oh, it wasn't a high stick because he got him in the shoulder, then it's a cross-check, I think. Was that maybe a young defenseman having to learn a tough lesson on how to keep his head on straight?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, Bouchard for your 2 periods was unreal. I mean, for the most part, he was really good. He made 2 mistakes that were critical penalties. The last one obviously coming at the wrong time. But I mean, take his game aside. Like, you remove him out of this equation, like the Oilers still gave up, what was it, 5 PKs outside of that then?
Yeah.
Outside of Bouchard's. And they scored on at least 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably the bigger story than anything, is the fact that you took penalties at bad times. You sat back. If you watch, like, all of a sudden in the third period, they're sitting into a 1-2-2 where they're extremely high. Both of the wingers from the LA Kings were just pushing to the far blue, and then they would try to spring a break almost every single time. And the Oilers allowed them to do that. They kept chipping pucks in, sitting back, chipping pucks in, sitting back. And so now the game just starts to change a little bit, right? Because now all the breaks are coming along. But I mean, going back to the original question, Bouchard was good. He made 2 critical mistakes. It's a young defenseman that's finding his way. He's been great. He's been fantastic. I mean, even in that game, like, I think he'll bounce back from it, but he's just got to understand the time of the game. And you can't take those penalties at that time.
Speaking of penalties at bad times, overtime, generally a bad time to take a penalty, give a team a power play. Oilers fans were nice and spicy when this one was called on Vinny Desharnais. Liam, was it a trip?
I think it was. Like, maybe the contact wasn't big like people think, but he definitely, like, disrupted the rhythm of his skating, right? Which is a penalty. And in that moment, I think all of us saw it watching this exact highlight and thought, damn, that's a penalty. And then obviously you can slow it down and everything. Maybe the contact isn't as big as you thought, but I don't think it's fair to criticize the official on making that call in the moment.
I think
Desharnais lost control.
I think the beef people will have is they probably could have called a penalty on LA a couple minutes before that on fair. Fogle. And the thing is, like, in overtime, I understand sometimes they want to put the whistles away. But if you're going to call one penalty, like, there was an infraction on Fogle right before that. I think that's probably why people are mad, but it is a trip. I know, when you watch it super slow-mo and you see, okay, look, he kind of touches that broken stick and then he falls. Okay, the ref in real time is watching that play head on. It's a trip. Desharnais probably in that situation as well needs to know not to swing his stick like that either. Like, if he just goes down and gets back up, there's not going to be a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, you look at the call and usually what you want from the official is it's got to be an egregious call or something that's going to truly affect the play. And in this situation, part of the reason also why I think guys are so mad is that the puck was getting chipped in anyway. Like, Bukestad's going to get this puck. It's not going to be affected. There's no scoring chance on the play. Like, if they don't call this, nothing changes in this sequence of events. And I think that's part of why people are so upset, because, like you'd mentioned, they didn't call something on Fogle earlier.
Yeah. I think another thing too, just right before this, didn't Desharnais lost the puck on the blue line, right? He kind of founded it. So just in that whole sequence alone, like, he's probably pretty flustered and, like, a little bit out of control on everything too. So just kind of a bad moment. The reaction was a bit wild from Desharnais too, coming out of the box and whacking his stick everywhere. Like, frustrating, obviously, but it's just game one at the end of the day.
Yeah, people nice and fired up saying it was a dive. I think he actually fell. Again, he stepped on the broken stick, which might have been the reason he ultimately fell. I don't know if that one was a dive. I thought the interference earlier when Bouchard got called for, like, a one-handed shove and Trevor Moore acted like he got shot. Okay, that one I think was maybe a bit more of a dive. But I mean, also the Oilers part of the reason the Oilers got off to such a good start is because they were getting power plays early in that hockey game. And the takeaway I'm going to have from this is if this is the number of penalties they're going to call, if there are going to be 9 power plays in every game this series, I think that actually works in the Oilers' favor. Because I think eventually an officiating crew, I mean, you play in the league, Sean, they're going to be trying to even this thing up. They're going to know when they look at the stat sheet after, we gave LA 6, we gave Edmonton 3. They're going to try to even that up at some point in the series, and more power plays, the better for Edmonton with that power play.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, basically this got affected. The game got affected by that last call.
Yeah.
I mean, make no bones about it. Whether we want to agree or disagree on whether, it was a penalty or not, the game did get affected by that. I mean, it says it right here. They're 2 for 6 on the PK, on the power play.
Yeah.
If you take some of that away, or you maybe take 1 or 2 of those away, well, maybe the Oilers are walking away with a victory. So I do think at the end of the day, the penalties are going to even out. and it's definitely going to work in the Oilers' favor.
I think another thing too is outside of the Desharnais and Bouchard penalty, look at the other penalties that were taken. The Hyman one was so unnecessary in the offensive zone. The Evander Kane one was maybe a little bit unlucky where he's kind of like swinging and catches him with his stick. But like, those are veteran guys who've been in this situation literally last season. Like, you should know you can't just get away with that.
Were they too amped up in the moment trying to play physical?
I think so. I think definitely, especially on the Evander Kane one, I think.
There's a line you have to walk, right? And again, you would kind of hope that after going to the conference finals, this team would have had a better idea of where that line is. But again, it's game one. Like, do I come out of that game being like, oh man, the Oilers are in danger right now? I'm not, because again, they were the better team for 40 minutes. They were 17 seconds away from getting a victory anyways in that hockey game. There's some lessons there that they got to learn. Yeah, that's kind of what happens, but it's a long series. There's a reason why they play best of sevens. Not exactly super nervous. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's a good one, Aaron. For people who weren't at the game last night, because it was interesting talking to Aaron and Liam about this, they were watching on TV. They really didn't show how much garbage got thrown onto the ice. And I know people in the chat are talking. We got DMs being like, you need to call people out for this. I mean, me sitting here being like, hey, don't throw garbage on the ice is probably not going to stop drunk fans from throwing garbage on the ice. But there was like the expensive beers as well, but like $20
beers.
Yeah, $12 beers. You're hucking those things and like full. They were spraying everywhere. Not a great look by the city. It sucks.
No, I didn't like it. I mean, I get it. There's frustration. You just lost, and people are upset about the call. But like, save your money. That's a $12 beer that's full.
Yep.
Like, come on, guys. Be better.
Aaron, do we have our clip of what Hunter the Lynx is going to be doing at the next Oilers game?
Oh, this is good. Oh, it's not there.
Ryan, this time I think I got just the thing people will remember me for. I am going to stop pollution with my new lovable character, Gary the No Trash Cougar. Pick up your trash! I want to know whose cup this is! I said I want to know whose cup this is! Pick it up! Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up! Thank you, sweetie. See what a nicer place this is when we all pitch in? Like Gary the No Trash Cougar says, give a lobbage, throw out your garbage. Spread the word.
I'm pretty sure that was the orange and blue ice crew.
Yeah.
They all had their jackets on, ready to go home, and then they had to come back out and pick up all that trash.
Hunter the No Trash Lynx. Don't throw beers on the ice, people. Don't be dumb. Makes the city look bad. All right, let's get into our three big things from last night's game, brought to you by Betway 19+. Please play responsibly. The Oilers go down 1-0 in that series, but again, some positives. And here's one on my list of three big things. The Oilers' bottom six was very effective in that hockey game, specifically the fourth line. And looking at the numbers, I found it interesting. Jay Woodcroft really didn't go to the blender at all. At 5-on-5, McDavid and Draisaitl, according to Natural Stat Trick, played 1 second together at 5-on-5. They played a bit at 4-on-4 together. But the fourth line, McLeod, Fogle, Derek Ryan, played 6 minutes and 19 seconds. Shot attempts 10-3, unblocked shot attempts 8-2, shots on goal 6-1. And they started 2 of their 5 shifts that started with a face-off. 2 of the 5 were in the D zone. The Oilers' bottom six hummed really nicely in the hockey game. Even the one Draisaitl goal was off a forecheck by Bukestad and then a good play by Janmark.
They actually were really good. Every single time they were out on the ice, at least from what I saw, they hemmed the Kings into their own zone. They were physical, they were quick on pucks, and they just funneled everything to the net. And that just created a little bit of chaos for the Kings in their own zone. So, if you keep going back to that, well, I don't think it's going to hurt you. It evens out the minutes. And then the long series, that makes, Draisaitl, McDavid a little bit fresher, where they can now start to impose their will later in the series.
Yeah. Again, bottom six, that maybe isn't an area where you expected the Oilers to have an advantage over the LA Kings, but down the stretch, I thought those bottom six guys all played really well. In game one, they were a factor in a very positive way. And Liam, I see no reason, like when you look at the kind of years a guy like Janmark has had, and I mean, even Ryan McLeod now going through his second playoff run, I think these are all guys who can consistently make impacts.
Yeah, I mean, that fourth line, like you said, had 2 goals disallowed. They put the puck in the net twice last night. And I think the interesting factor in all of this is, how is Woodcroft going to go to a 11-7?
I don't think you do now.
who
I
are you
think you
gonna
keep
take
rolling
out?
12-6.
Because you could argue last night the Oilers' two worst forwards are probably Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman, right?
Mhm.
Are you going to take those two guys out? I doubt it. So it's interesting, but yeah, they were very, very good, and hopefully they can keep it rolling. I mean, Warren Fogle last night was absolutely buzzing. He
Yeah.
played so well, and I think kind of deserved a bit more on the stat sheet than he got, right? But they were fantastic, and if that continues, like, how are the Oilers not going to beat this team? The Oilers' first line was their worst line last night.
That's number 2 on my 3 big things is Connor McDavid held pointless. And actually, the goal that kind of ignited the Kings' comeback, there was a 2-on-1 for the Oilers right before that, McDavid and Kane. And McDavid, that's, if you look up forcing a pass in the dictionary, it's that play right there. He had a clear-cut lane to the net. He tries to make the fancy play. Other way, the puck's in the back of their own net within seconds of the thing. I think we're going to see a really pissed off Connor McDavid tomorrow, because if me, a guy in the stands who had 5 beers, noticed that play and realized the impact it had, number 97 realizes the impact it had.
Without question, he knows where it's at. Like, one of the big storylines is that they've been able to keep him in check almost all year, but like, how do you keep this guy in check? Yep. Connor, obviously, he didn't have the impact that he wanted yesterday's game. He's going to come back pissed off. He's looking for a little bit more, and he expects more than anybody. I think he's harder on himself than anybody in this league, in management, in the city. So he's coming out. He's going to be flying. And if they have that, and you have Draisaitl doing what he's doing, and McDavid, well, once again, we go back to the comment that you made earlier, where it's Oilers fans, you don't have anything to worry about.
Craig with a prediction in the chat says McDavid scores 3 with a couple of apples in game 2, maybe calling for a bit of an Oilers blowout. Sure, set your expectations high. I'm sure Connor McDavid is going to be mad. And an angry Connor McDavid, Liam, we've seen it time and time again. He comes off bad games very well.
Yeah, he does. He's a bounce back kind of player, isn't it? And I mean, to the Kings' credit, they played him very, very well last night. But there's obviously more to Connor McDavid. I think you're not going to stop that guy for 7 games. You only hope to maintain him, right? So luckily for the Oilers, other guys around him stepped up yesterday, but I can imagine Connor McDavid will be coming out firing on Wednesday.
The crazy part of that whole thing is that he had chances.
Yeah.
Like, he had that one where he dances 3 guys, goes in,
That's right,
and doesn't score. Like, if he scores, maybe now he's flying. And so now we were looking at a different situation, right? Obviously, he doesn't score, so it makes it look a little bit worse because he doesn't have the points, but he still had really good chances.
And the good news is his anytime goal might be a little bit more valuable for us on Wednesday too.
Yep.
It was plus 105 yesterday. Looking forward to plus 110 on Wednesday.
There you go. And Draisaitl 2+ points in the playoffs continues to pay your rent.
Lock and load.
A couple people in the chat talking about Klim Kostin. He did play a team low 9 minutes and 16 seconds, and they did make a switch for one shift and moved Fogle up to the 3rd line. So they go 11-7. People are saying, hey, maybe you take Klim Kostin out. But when I look at it, like, hey, Klim Kostin, even if he plays 6 minutes, having that guy out there go lay a couple of big hits. We saw him drop the gloves yesterday. He just couldn't get his hands on, I think it was Blake Lizotte that he wanted to get a piece of. That's more valuable to me than Philip Broberg playing 2 minutes.
Couldn't agree more. Kostin was physical. He answered the bell multiple times. He's heavy on the forecheck. Like, you talk about the Oilers and how they've kind of evolved over the last couple of years. Like, a guy like Klim Kostin, this guy is heavy. And he plays a hard game, and against a team like the Kings, you need a guy like that. At Broberg, I wish the best of luck in your career moving forward, but you're going to be sitting out because I don't think you can pull anybody out of the lineup right now.
Yeah, like, even, I mean, people saying, oh, Vinny took the bad penalty. I'm not taking Desharnais out because of one bad penalty either. Like,
well, here's the thing too. Bouchard and Desharnais were the ones who took the penalties at the end of the game. We were 2 least inexperienced players on the blue line. Do you really want to add a Philip Broberg to that group too?
No.
There's no way. There will be a time in this series where Klim Kostin has to do something that'll be way more valuable than what Philip Broberg can bring to the lineup. Unfortunately, he's just not a specialist in anything, right? And that's not a shot at him. He's a very young defenseman with a promising career, but at least Klim can play that physical role. He can fight if you need to. He's got scoring touch. Like, Broberg just isn't bringing that, unfortunately.
Oh, this is a grinding series.
Yes.
It's a hard series, and you got to have guys that are able to, be effective in that role. And Broberg, let's just hypothetically say they get past LA. Well, who's sitting there next? Most likely it's probably Vegas.
Yeah.
And so now that's maybe when you insert Broberg, because that's a better matchup. It's more of a skating matchup. It's more of a skilled matchup. Like the one that we've got here is probably one of the worst matchups for the Oilers outside. And I'm going to knock on wood at some point here. The Avalanche.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Looking around at the Oilers' blue line last night as well, we talked about this coming into the series a bit on the show, but having Darnell Nurse be healthy for this run, and you look back at last year, right? That's a guy who had like 25, 26 minutes a night, and he was doing it all on one leg, and I think that kind of led to a lot of fans not loving his game. It bled into this year, all of that stuff. We had Laddie Schmid on the Real Life podcast last week, calling out some people he heard at the game talking smack about Darnell Nurse. I thought Darnell Nurse I thought he had a good game yesterday. Like, that's more of the Darnell Nurse they need versus what we saw at points earlier in the year.
Yeah, Darnell, when at the start of the year, he was just trying to do too much. Right? He was trying to prove to everyone that he was a $9.25 million defenseman. Like, you don't have to do that. Don't get out of your comfort zone, what your lane is. And now all of a sudden you've got Ekholm here, which we talked about this last time I was on, where like it kind of allows Darnell to be Darnell.
Yeah.
And when he is that guy, he is very, very effective because he's big, he can skate, he can hit, he can do everything that every single team in the NHL is looking for. Now they've got two guys like that.
Yeah. Three big things for our friends at Betway. 19 plus, play responsibly. Go check them out ahead of game 2. We'll be talking about our bets for tomorrow's game on a Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day edition of the show tomorrow. Sean, before we let you go, I want to pick your brain about what else is going on around the NHL. What other series piques your interest the most in the league?
Well, I like the Boston, Florida one.
Yeah.
There's just something about Florida where I look at their team and I'm like, they've got disruptor potential.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're going to win this series, but I feel like they're going to give a bigger test than what I think a lot of people are expecting. That'd be one series that I've got my eye on for sure. The other one is Tampa, Toronto. Can Toronto finally overcome it? I don't know. Can Tampa just continue that? Can we call them a dynasty?
Oh, yeah.
Tampa? Oh, yeah, I think so, right?
Okay.
3 straight cup finals.
So can they continue that little run for at least one more year? That's a really good storyline to watch out for. And then the other one I like is the Vegas Golden Knights and the Winnipeg Jets. This is a story of Winnipeg, who is one of the best teams in the NHL up until right around Christmas time. And then they fell off a cliff, but they've got some bodies there. They're big. They're a physical team. Like, that's going to be a hard matchup for Vegas.
Yeah. That's the one I'm kind of excited to watch. I think that series is going to be entertaining. I think those are two hockey teams that are very imperfect, and they both over the last little bit have really relied on their goalies. Connor Hellebuck in his last 5 starts has allowed 7 goals. Laurent Brossoit, who's going to be the game 1 starter for Vegas, has allowed 8 goals in his last 5 starts. But I think that reliance on their goaltending when things are frantic and playoff hockey's all intense, I think it's going to be some high octane, high scoring chance, kind of back and forth hockey between those two.
Do you remember a couple years back when Winnipeg played Nashville?
Yes.
Do you remember how intense that series was?
Right.
I've just got, for some reason, a feeling that's what it's going to be like. You got 2 goaltenders on both sides. Well, Hellebuck, and then the litany of goaltenders with Las Vegas. So whoever starts, they're going to be good. But I just feel like it's going to be a really intense series and a really physical series.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. I mean, there's a lot like Rangers Devils. I mean, we didn't even mention that. Like, that one tonight starts 5:00 puck drop between those two. Battle of the Hudson River. That's going to be a really good one as well, because I think those are, again, 2 teams that love skilling it up. Like the Hughes-Heeshire combo, and then you go to the other side in the top 6 with Tarasenko, Kane, Zibanejad, Kreider. Like, you go through that Rangers roster. It's crazy how talented they are. Tonight's a pull out 2 TVs, watch 2 games at once kind of night for me. It's going to be a good one. Sean, this was a lot of fun. We will be back Thursday show to break down game 2. How do you think the Oilers bounce back in game 2?
I think they're going to bounce back. They're going to come out flying, and they'll cement it. Let's call it a 3-1 victory.
There you go. Thanks for hopping in today.
Beauty.
There you go. Sean Bell for our friends at Star Mechanical. Check them out. Oh, did I miss that?
You missed
I missed the fist bump. Check them out. Star Mechanical.
That's even better.
StarMechanical.ca. The number's on the screen if you need 24/7 emergency service. 780-481-8873. There you go. Moving along on the show, big shout out to Sean for hopping in today and swinging down by the office, down by the Sports Closet studio. Let's get into some more numbers from last night, brought to you by Boston Pizza and their new Fanalytics menu. Liam, are you aware of what a pizza flight is?
No, but I'm fully aware of what a pizza is and a flight.
There you go. Now you're on the right path. So basically, 3 styles of pizza. They come out little ones. You can try a little bit of everything. Anyways, Boston Pizza, great spot.
Is it like almost like a cheeseburger slider, but a pizza edition?
Yeah. Now you're thinking along the right path here. Boston Pizza, the new Fanalytics menu. Are you a deep fried pickles guy?
I'm not a pickles guy.
Yeah, I'm not a pickles guy.
But I do like deep fried Oreos. You ever had them?
No.
They're very good.
Okay.
I'll be at Boston Pizza tomorrow, I think.
Wing Wednesday, BPs.
And Cheesecake Wednesday.
We're also going to be doing our show tomorrow live from Greta. So look forward to that, taking the show on the road again ahead of Game 2 of the Oilers and Kings. Just finishing up kind of our look back at Game 1 of this series. Wanted to run through some numbers for Boston Pizza and their Fanalytics menu. Shots in the first period, 6-3 Oilers. Shots in the second period, 12-7 Oilers. Even the shots in OT at 5-on-5, according to Natural Stat Trick, and those were all at 5-on-5, by the way, were 11-3. Like, the Oilers were the better team. The first period, the second period, I would argue for 12 minutes of the third period, they were the better team. And I would argue they were the better team in overtime and got hosed by that call that's not a bad call, but an untimely call. Like, it sounds weird to be like, moral victory, it's the playoff. But, like, that was a moral victory in my books.
Yeah, I'm with you. And there was just so many questionable things that happened later on in the game which affected the Oilers, and which is what the whole image is now kind of looking like for them. But overall, like, they were the better team in that game. That Leon Draisaitl's line I thought was fantastic. I thought, do you know what, the boys on the penalty kill, I know they went 2 for 6, but also the Oilers just started playing with fire after a while and putting them under a lot of pressure. I thought some of those guys played unbelievably. Like, Yamamoto was stepping in front of pucks. Like, Ekholm did a great job too. And Skinner, up until the end, was having a good game, I guess you could say. He just didn't get that last save that they really needed at the end of the third. But I think it's good to have moral victories because, like you said, Tyler, the momentum doesn't carry from game to game. So why can't you take away the positives from the game at least to put that and insert it into the game 2 or 3, whatever it may be? So those are the better team. They just didn't get the result they needed.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. The Kings only had one player in that game hit 3 shots on goal at 5-on-5. Again, the Oilers, the shot attempts 68-42 at 5-on-5. Unblocked shot attempts 52-31 at 5-on-5. Shots were 36-21. Scoring chances 37-23. High danger Corsi events 17-9. Listen, I understand it was frustrating. I get it. I also do think, reading the chat, a lot of people, and Jared was in and said he just needed some reassurance that the guys are going to come out firing in game 2, and I really think they will. So I'm just not worried. The Oilers lost game 1s last year. I just went through the numbers, the analytics for our friends at BPs and the Fanalytics, and, like, there's just no reason for me to be worried about that hockey game, Liam. I don't know. Again, the discipline, I think they'll sort that out. They haven't been like an undisciplined team all year. That's not a characteristic they've had.
That was that was very out of character, like you said. But I think the moment just kind of got to a lot of guys, especially on the Bouchard penalty lock. Like, you don't really see Bouchard come up and step up on guys like that. Hardly ever. So it was a moment he just got caught in it in a position he's not usually in. Like, just gotta keep your stick down. A lot of the penalties that were taken last night were uncontrolled sticks, and it's just something they've got to improve and just be more disciplined. And they showed signs of, in the last 8 minutes, like you said, of what they were before they lost to the Kings, actually 6-3 that one night, and just kind of inconsistent games. But I think he'll tighten up. It's a veteran group, to be honest.
DC, they lost. How can you not be worried? If they lose game 2, I will be like, you know, if your little coffee cup here is the panic button, I'll be like right here if they lose game 2. But right now, I don't even want to look at that damn thing. That panic button means nothing to me. No. Again, they lost game 1 to LA last year, came back and won. They were facing elimination in game 6 against LA, came back and won. They were down 1-0 to the Calgary Flames, came back and won. And is it great? I mean, the glass half empty approach you could take here is they played a good game and they lost. They blew one of their good games in the series because LA, at some point over the course of a best of 7, there's going to be a night where LA is just better. They're going to play a really good game, and they'll get the bounces. That'll happen one other time. That's why I said Oilers in 6.
I'm trying to think back clearly to last time they played in the first round, which was obviously only last season. But I feel like the 3 games LA won were directly from the Oilers just shooting themselves in the foot. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
At least 2 of them, from what I remember, when the Oilers showed up, they were the better team. And look, we know this is going to be a tight series even before coming into it. Like, nobody was expecting a blowout. One thing I thought that was interesting last night was actually how much offense the Oilers were able to generate against the LA Kings.
Yep.
Because we saw it in those last 2 games where it was just very tight, like not a lot of room out there, like not a lot of good chances, but it took, like in that one game, was it 2-0? It took a moment of magic from Connor McDavid short-handed to go get that extra goal for the Oilers. But last night, I thought the Oilers dictated the play, and that is extremely positive. Yes, the result didn't go their way, but Kempe's a 40-goal scorer.
He's legit. He's their best offensive weapon. And we had someone in here, I think it was a Kings fan, who was actually being fine. They said Edmonton's the more skilled team, and if things stay calm, that favors Edmonton. If they get chippy, that favors LA. The way I kind of look at yesterday was, again, through 40 minutes, the Oilers showed that if they just play their game, LA can't generate anything. Like, I was talking to people in the intermission. I met a bunch of people who will watch the show as well.
Nice.
But I was chatting with people, and it was like, LA can't get to a dangerous area right now. They didn't have a dangerous look in the first period. I don't think they had a dangerous look till about halfway through the second. That right there, like, people again are saying, like, I would have been less disappointed if they lost 5-1. How can you say that? You're coming out of this game. I'm fully confident that this team is going to win game 2.
What did you think of? So the first goal was Kempe coming across with the backhand.
Yeah.
I think Skinner could have had that one, but was maybe screened a little bit by just a good play by Kempe using the defenseman as a screen, but a bit of a softish goal. The second one I thought was actually a direct mistake from Zach Hyman. So I don't know. Have you seen? So he came across, he threw a pick on Ekholm, but also didn't go to the puck, which I thought was weird. Like, if he had just got his stick on that puck and chipped it out of the zone, the play would have been over. The second one, obviously a mistake from Skinner, just allowing it to slide through. And then on the overtime goal, it was Nugent-Hopkins, I think, just felt unprepared and wasn't handling the pressure of Arvidsson coming. And it's just like, no, like, boys, you got to bear down on the face-offs, because 2 of those goals were directly errors from that. And you eliminate those, and it's well, first of all, you're not even in overtime. But secondly, you're winning that hockey game. And it's just like those little details in the game are what screwed the Oilers last night. So, yeah, I think we've said it a lot, but Oilers are a very good hockey team, and they are better than the LA Kings when they played their game. They just got away from it at certain points last night. Yeah.
Those little attention to details. And again, on that Kempe goal, like, McDavid had the 2-on-1. When you're up in a game, don't try the fancy play. Don't try to flutter a pass across the ice. Put the puck on net. Tried to force a play, wasn't there. It went back the other way. Like, again, a night where Connor McDavid was, I don't want to call him a non-factor because he was buzzing. He was getting chances, but he didn't factor into the score sheet in that hockey game. Think about that. Connor McDavid did not get on the score sheet. The guy who had 150-some points in the regular season didn't get on the score sheet, and the Oilers lost in OT. If that guy gets scoring, and he will, it's inevitable. He's not a guy who's going to go on a slump for a 7-game series. He's going to get scoring, and this Kings team is going to be in a world of trouble.
What did you think of the disallowed goal by Warren Fogle? Now, I think this is a talking point that just is kind of been muted a little bit. Gavin and I spoke about it with Connor last night on After Dark. One thing that really bothered me before you have to address if he was pushed into the goal or not. Like, how do we not know if that puck went in the net or not? Like, how is there nothing in the game right now that shows us, besides go and look at an iPad, which is smaller than my laptop screen, being like, oh, did it go in? Like, how is it just not like something in that puck that indicates, yes, the puck went over the line?
You look at like what soccer is able to do with VAR and offsides and things like that. There's no reason why the NHL, again, they have trackers and sensors in the pucks. There's no reason why they can't figure out that technology.
It's just wild. And I think that's the big thing is, it's game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs of the first round for this series. And that puck probably went in the net, which is fair to say, but we don't know because we couldn't see the thing because the goalies, and it is what it is. You can't see it, but there should be some way for the goal, for the goaltender. Cause I think we even saw it against LA this season where Jack Campbell, you may remember, made that glove save and they said the puck went over. but there was no definitive evidence other than like, well, the glove looks like
It probably
it's over the
went
line.
in, yeah.
It probably did, but we don't know if it did. It's just how are we here right now? And then once you can figure that out, then you can determine if Warren Fogle was tripped or he just crashed into the goalie or not. But
Yeah.
the first thing is, did the puck go in the net or not?
People are saying on the overhead, you could have seen it went in. Yeah, they did show an angle on the screen at the game too, where I was like, oh yeah, I think I see that puck like go into the corner. Did he get pushed in? I think I even saw Fogle mouth that to the ref when they showed him on the screen. Like, I was pushed, and Woodcroft wanted challenge. They told him no. I think it's kind of similar to the Darnell thing where, like, you know, it irks an Oilers fan, but like if it was the other way around, if that was Iafallo going into Skinner, we'd probably be pretty pissed.
I do think they made the right decision on the ice to say the goalie was impeded or whatever, but just the evidence of I didn't see that the angle showed it, because quite frankly it was just difficult to see. But it should just be an easy decision for when the ref is like standing on the back of the net being like, well, do I point my arm at the back of the net or not? Like, he should just have a watch that like lights up green or something when they score and be like, yep, goal. Then you can go to the video and be like, okay, was this goalie interference?
Yep.
Should this goal stand? It's a very easy system. Can't be that difficult, right?
Yeah, Maynard says, but if they would have called it a no goal with goalie interference, Oilers could have challenged. He was pushed. Yeah, I think he was pushed. But again, like, you kind of lose the benefit of the doubt when you're like barreling full speed to the net, right?
Sure.
Like, the defenseman's got to be able to make a play. Tyler says it would have been goalie interference anyways. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's not the reason they lost.
No.
If anything, actually, one thing that was a bit of a turning point, in my opinion, is they got the 5-on-3. They buried on the 5-on-3. They kept the big guns out for the 5-on-4 portion of it. And I was like, if you score here, you crush them. It's over. And I know they eventually did get a third goal and went up 3-1 in that hockey game. But if they could have, and they had a look too. Connor had a chance.
They did.
Like, if they score on that, different hockey game. If Connor shoots on the 2-on-1, probably a bit of a different hockey game as well. Again, like, we're sitting here with all these what ifs. So many things that didn't work in the Oilers' favor. They didn't get a power play in the back half of that hockey game outside of like the little 6-seconder with the high sticking when they went back to back with high sticks. A lot of things didn't work in their favor last night, and they lost in OT. Again, you need luck sometimes in the playoffs, and that's just one of those games last night. Yeah, were some of those things preventable? Sure. 100%. The Oilers proved they're the better hockey team in this series.
There was an interesting comment that kept coming up in the After Dark chat last night, which I'm curious to what you think of, about Stuart Skinner. I thought Skinner was okay yesterday. I didn't think he did anything special.
He could, like, they could have won that game if he stole them the game, but he wasn't the reason they lost.
But also, people were like, he didn't make a big save.
He did.
Did the Oilers even need him to make a big save? Like, I feel like he maybe on the power play one, I think it was Kempe when he came across, but what is a big save? Like, is this when he just like flashes a glove on a one-on-one breakaway? I'd be more than happy if Skinner made 40 saves with shots from the blue line for the night and they won the game, to be honest. But I just thought the Oilers did a very good job of actually limiting the chances that LA had that could have been high danger ones. And the ones that did, I thought Skinner was decent with them, no?
Yeah, I had no problem with him at all. Again, like, maybe, he wasn't perfect, but he didn't give up a weak goal. He made some big stops, I thought, on the power play. Like, he was 8 for 10 on the power play. That's, I mean, it's not great, but he made 8 stops when you were shorthanded. So, I mean, Guitar Maniac says Skinner was solid, but you would like a save. Yeah, I would just argue you got some saves. Angel Sandoval, Kings fan. You're burning your stars out. That's funny. And overworked McDavid is what I want. Keep double shifting McDavid. They didn't double shift McDavid at all when you look at the numbers. Like, I'm looking at the shift charts on Natural Stat Trick, and I don't see that at all.
McDavid played, was at 221 on the power play, 153 shorthanded. So he only played about 21 minutes, 5-on-5. And I mean, with the way Draisaitl was playing last night, there was no need to double shift McDavid. And I mean, in overtime, maybe we saw a little bit more McDavid and Draisaitl. I guess that's it too. Like, those numbers are probably boosted at least a couple of minutes from the overtime shifts too. So yeah, I'm not worried about McDavid being overworked. His team went to the Western Conference Finals last year, playing 11-7 basically in the entire time. So there you have it.
Yeah.
Anze Kopitar had a great game. Quietly had a 4-point night. I had no idea he had 4 points till at the end of the game. Like, oh, wow.
I need to give a shout out to Matt and Thomas, who I met in between the third period in OT, and they bought me a beer, and Raj, who also bought me a beer. He was very nice, and he has a sports memorabilia business that I'm very intrigued to know more about. So shout out to Raj and the two young gentlemen who bought me a brewski. We had a good time. We had some good chats.
I wonder if they've got any signed Dustin Penna jerseys in the memorabilia store.
Maybe he's looking to buy yours.
Well,
maybe that's his angle.
Let me know, Raj. I'm always open to offers.
Yeah. Someone with the name uninstall. Run it back with the same game plan and cut back the penalties. We win easily. Yeah, there you go. Hungry Tyler. Kane's work ethic is suspect. I didn't love that game from Evander Kane because, again, I thought that penalty was kind of dumb. But he mixed it up physically a little bit. I thought there was a couple moments he got caught on the wrong side of the puck in the D zone, and it's kind of like you might be cheating a little bit for offense here, trying to really get going. But again, that's a guy who was a goal a game last year in the playoffs. I have all the confidence in the world he's going to turn it around.
I was frustrated by the penalty by Kane for sure, but I didn't notice anything poor about his game.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't say,
Maybe we just got to the point with Kane where it's like, that's a little bit expected from him. One guy, I mentioned him already, but the way Fogo back-checked on that one chance, holy smokes. I thought it was McDavid. I genuinely thought that was Connor McDavid for a second. He was absolutely flying, and man, if Fogo can even play half the game that he played yesterday on Wednesday, then he is going to be a hell of a player on this playoff run, however far the others go. And a good thing, too, was there was a driver on every single line.
There was
every single line. Brett Kulak, holy smokes, that guy.
Play he made, the little hezzy and then driving in.
Like, wow, going back to his junior days, it was amazing. But yeah, lots of positives to take. It seems like people are taking some positives too in the chat for the most part.
Yep, like four forward lines. You had the top line: McDavid, Nuge, Hyman. 15-57 at 5-on-5. Shot attempts 21-11. Shots 12-5. Draisaitl, Kane, Yamamoto. 12:31 time on ice. Outshot the Kings by 4, 10-6. Shot attempts 16-11. Boom, that's very good. Bukestad, Janmark, Kostin. 6:46 at 5-on-5. Attempts 7-3. Shots 3-1. And then I already talked about the fourth line. 10-3 attempts, 6-1 shots. They had 6 shots in 6 minutes, and they started twice in the D zone, once in the neutral zone, and only twice in the O zone. Like, again, that bottom 6 was working, and that's really what is going to separate this Oilers team from the Kings team. Because, again, McDavid's going to get his at some point.
Yeah.
Connor is going to start producing. When he does, and if this bottom 6 keeps rolling the way they're rolling, because they're due now, it's coming. It's coming, man. The Oilers are still winning this series. The Oilers are winning this series in 6 games. I'll stand by that. That means we're going to have one more disappointing night and one more disappointing show, but we're going to have 4 good ones. I'm very confident in that.
Hopefully that night comes in like game 5 when they're up 3-1 already or something. Yeah. That'd be much nicer. But I don't know if you can do it quickly, but I'm curious to see what Victor Arvidsson's numbers look like last night. Just at 5-on-5 or whatever. I thought he was absolutely buzzing for the Kings, and that's a guy who LA obviously didn't have last season, and I thought he had a big impact. He has a lot of speed. I think he had a couple assists too, and it was great on the penalty kill. Like, how did he look?
He had 2 shots, 4 shot attempts. His line kind of got caved though, because the Oilers dominated him, right?
Yeah,
like, it was hard for anyone on the Kings to put up good underlying numbers in that hockey game because the Oilers took it to him.
Yeah, for the eye test, he looked like he was very effective. He looked very effective actually against Ekholm, which is interesting because obviously they're both former Nashville Predators and fellow countrymen as well. So yeah, Arvidsson I thought was very strong for them, but the others again just did such a good job of actually stopping the Kings from doing anything. The Kings just found a way. They found a way more times than the others did.
AMA Travel Out of Town scoreboard. Let's wrap up the show with that. Obviously, the Oilers not back in action until Wednesday night. Another 8:20 puck drop down at Rogers Place. Last night, out of the 4 games, 3 unders and 2 underdogs won. So you're looking at tonight: Rangers, Devils, Tampa, Toronto, Winnipeg, Vegas, Seattle, Colorado. I like the under and Winnipeg to win game 1. I think they're going to stun Vegas right off the jump, and Connor Hellebuck's going to play really good. I also think I'm riding with the Rangers as road dogs tonight as well. I think those will be the 2 underdogs that win, and Colorado, Toronto will win. What do you think?
I'm kind of on the Rangers train too. I think it's a team that they went to Eastern Finals last year, right? Is that right? Either way, they're sick teams. So they got everything. The Devils, I think this series will go 7. So eventually one team's got to lose at home, you would assume. So I'm going to take the Rangers tonight plus 110 over at Betway. I'm going to go Tampa Bay against Toronto. I don't know.
I know. The Bolts as dogs is so tempting.
Yeah, and it's just, I know they kind of had not a great end to the season, but also it's a team that basically knew their fate for the last 2 or 3 months.
Yep.
Like you can kind of take it off a little bit, and they've shown up in this spot for a while. And until they prove me otherwise, I think I'm just going to ride with them. But I think tonight's slate is fantastic. And to be honest, last night's slate was awesome too. Carolina, the Islanders wasn't awesome, but that was
every game's going to be 3-1 there.
Yeah, and that was kind of expected, right? But just the playoffs in the NHL are amazing. Just having the best on best, and it's just awesome. It's March Madness, but in late April.
Josh wants to know if he can use me to try win Oilers tickets. Sure. Tyler McDonald, I say this loss was good for the Oilers. It's going to help them the rest of the way. Kylie, if the Oilers lose every game 1 and win every series, I do not care. And what happened last year? Excellent point, Kylie. The Oilers lost game 1 in both first and second rounds last year and won both those series. Come on. As a fan base, we're not going to be this fragile. We're not going to sit here and say the series is over. The Oilers are screwed. I get it. They lost a game they should have won, but they played really damn good, and the Kings got to do that 3 more times. If I was a Kings fan, I would not be sitting there going, whew, we got 3 more of those in us, because you don't. The bounces will not go your way. There you go.
Oh, man. 3 more of those. Whew. Good 8 minutes of hockey and then figuring it out from there. Yeah, I don't know. There's I think we covered everything, Tyler.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got it all good.
Yep. People wanting to know our thoughts on Matt Dumba's hit yesterday.
I thought he was fine.
It was not dirty in a suspendable way, but it was greasy in a, you saw him move the puck, you targeted, and you wanted to hit him hard.
Yeah, that's probably fair. My thing, by the letter of the law, there was no direct contact with the head. Right?
No, it was just a greasy hit. He got a guy in a bad spot, and he finished his check. And I get it. If you're Dumba, that's what he does. That's his whole game. But I would like to see the league get rid of those and put in some sort of language. Are you just watching it for the first time, Aaron? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't hit him in the head, but there was intent there to get him high.
There was intent to hit
Like,
hard,
look at his feet, dude. But they don't fully leave the ice, but I don't know. I would like the NHL to put in language that protects players in defenseless spots. Or like an unintentional defenseless spot. Because that's not Pavelski being an idiot. That's Pavelski being ridden by, I think that's Hartman going wide. And that's Dumba being like, I got this guy dead to rights, and I can hit him hard and hurt him. It was greasy. I think it was a greaseball play.
No penalty on the play. Do you agree?
I think he got a 2-minute minor.
For roughing, no, after.
For roughing after.
Max Domi.
Yeah, people are saying that's a playoff hit. Keep your head up. But Maynard, the puck was nowhere near the hit. It's a penalty. Yeah, run it back one more time. Gone. Puck is gone. There's no, I don't know. A guy got hurt, and I thought it was just an unnecessary one. A lot of people, though, like it. So
I don't know. I'm torn on it. I feel like it's similar to the Desharnais call in the sense of in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think the ref called a 5-minute major.
Yeah.
So in the moment,
but they almost do that now. They almost do that so that they can review it.
I think that's the right thing to do, though.
Me too.
I think it's the right play. Like the other day when we saw Kevin LeBlanc 5-minute major against the Oilers, which was hilarious. Not even close to a 5, if you ask me, and it wasn't, obviously. But yeah, I think it's good that they can do that at least and look back at it. But again, the league is reviewing hits like that, but won't say if the puck's in the back of the net or not. Whatever. I digress.
Shout out to the Sports Closet Studio. Sean Bell stopped by for our friends at Star Mechanical. 3 big things for Betway. The numbers from last night for Boston Pizza and their new Fanalytics-inspired menu. AMA travel for the out-of-town scoreboard. We got a Sherwood Ford Giant game day tomorrow. Going live from Greta, which is where our playoff parties are going to be Friday and Sunday night. Sunday night's an hour earlier on the puck drop as well, so you don't want to forget that.
7.
Yeah, 7. So we got that coming up tomorrow. Thursday, Belsey's back. We're going to break down the game. Friday is going to be weird because I'm flying to LA during the time we usually do the show. Shout out to AMA Travel, going to watch the Oilers on the road. Hopefully they'll be going up 2-1 and 3-1 in those hockey games. So we're probably going to do the show later in the afternoon. I'll let everyone know the time tomorrow. I'll have it ironed out by tomorrow. And then Monday, it's the Liam show.
It is the Liam show. I will be hosting.
Yep.
I'm intrigued to see what happens, but it'll be good. So I'll be relying on the chat heavily on Monday. Sean will be here.
Sean will be here, yeah.
You're not Connor, you're Aaron. Aaron will be in. I'm sure Gavin will be set there too. So it'll be very similar just without you. Maybe I'll even sit in the chair.
It's a very uncomfortable
I
chair.
know. Whenever you go on the road, I usually sit in that chair and I think, how does he do it? How does he do it on a daily basis? Because you don't just sit in that chair for the show. You come in here after the show and sit in that chair.
Yeah, and then we do another pod after. Yeah. We are recording a new episode of Oilers Nation Radio right away. So if you want more Oilers talk, look for that later on this afternoon. But enjoy the night of hockey games as well. 4 more on tap. People are fired up for the Liam show. I like seeing that.
Someone asked if I could do Friday. I can't do Friday.
Nathan asking if Nation Gear is available at the parties. Yes, we will be selling Nation Gear at the parties as well. So you're going to want to head down to gretabar.com. Apparently Friday, we're like almost full. So if you want to come to our watch party on Friday, producer Aaron's going to be hosting it as well. You need to go to gretabar.com and make a reservation because you actually might not get in. So go make a reservation. Shout out to the Kings fans who are actually kind of nice in the chat and had some good constructive feedback. Angel, who made some good points. So there you go. It's going to be a fun series. Giddy up. We'll talk tomorrow.